Oh, and our Merry Christmas and welcome to ESL RPG. Today on Stories, we have a very special story. Before you ask, no, it has nothing to do with Christmas. But I will be connecting it to certain lessons, and those lessons are somewhat connected to my outfit. But first, I will need to leave you guessing while I jump into the story. I never really explained much about Father Jack's group beyond the characters, but let's get into it. There were 4 main characters, 4 players, and our GM. Of course, there was my character, Father Jack! Kyoko was played by my friend Karen, and our GM was Vince, her husband. Meanwhile, Nobody was played by my brother James. Oh, and our 4th main character, the Dragon Druid Doggo, was a DMPC, controlled by Vince. So that last player? James's wife, Jessica. Our story is about how she joined our party. After a few of our games, Jessica expressed an interest. At that point, she didn't have any experience with TRPGs, but she did like games. And after hearing so much about the games from James, she was interested in watching. In the game she joined, our party was traveling between towns. Stopping for the night, we set up camp, and Father Jack returned from hunting with fresh dire bear meat. As everyone else settles down for the night, James asks Vince a question. Hey, can I go looking for an animal? Why? I'd like an animal companion. Do you have ranks in animal handling? Not a lot, but I have speak with animals. Do you have ranks in diplomacy? Some. And you want to try and tame a wild animal. Okay, I guess you can try. At this point, Vince was thinking, why not? I mean, he has a high chance of finding something small and tame like a deer or something. That's easy enough that he could tame it. He gets ready to roll for a random animal when James says, I take some of the roasted bear meat. At this point, Jessica taps on his shoulder and asks, are you sure? I mean, yeah, should give me a bonus to diplomacy checks. Vince shakes his head, scraps all the herbivores, and rolls for what animals he might find. Then he rolls the number of animals and shakes his head again. Okay, so as you are walking through the forest, you suddenly look up and see 3 large dire badgers led by a much larger one. Ooh, how big! This time it's Jessica's turn to shake her head. No, James, no. Like 6 feet and 500 pounds? Okay, so I talk to them. Hey, you want some food? Okay, so the lead badger looks down at you and says, food. I have food. I can give you food. So I give them some of the meat. James, no. Okay, make a diplomacy check. I got something like a 17. Okay, so they eat the meat, look back down at you and say, food. Now I am sitting drunkenly fighting back chuckles. I say, okay, there's lots of food back at camp. Follow me and you can eat it. No. Okay, so roll again. 21. Vince is now smiling and shaking his head. Okay, so they follow you back to camp. They go over and eat the rest of the bear meat. They come back and look down at you. Food. Karen cracks a loud laugh while Jessica is sighing. And James is saying, that's all I have right now. I could wake up Father Jack and he could get more. No, James, no. They keep looking at you. Food. James, no. Karen is joining in at this point. Like I said, I can try to wake up Father Jack. Still looking at you. Food. One voice is sighing, one chuckling, both saying, no, James, no. Well, I'm just laughing. I try to persuade them again. Hey, join us and you can eat all you want every day. I got a 16? Finally, Jessica has had enough of sitting and sighing. James, they are looking down at you, a tiny gnome, and they are giant badgers. Food, you, food. Food, you, food. Food, you, food, you, food. You are food to them. They think you are food. Oh. Okay, I stabbed the biggest one with good night's kiss and screamed, Brandy! The fight started after everyone stopped laughing, and after that, we decided to make Jessica the voice of reason in nobody's head, a voice named Somebody. At first, roles she made in character were just to scream loud enough to be heard when nobody was doing something that would be regrettable. Later on, she got stats enough to do psionic damage. And as far as nobody's animal companions, yeah, he got some ferrets he bought in town and figured that would be the safest. We won't talk about what happened to the ferrets. Anyway, the biggest thing this story teaches us, apart from the old saying, common sense is not always common, is that anyone can play. The real question becomes how to get people playing. For teachers and students, there are some very specific challenges, but some general challenges players and GMs also face. Namely, 1. Language issues. 2. Choice paralysis. 3. Information overload. 4. Players not interested. The language issues are the easiest to address. Sometimes it's because students are beginners at a language, sometimes it's because students don't learn that vocabulary usually. In either case, you should take students' level into account and simplify materials. You can also either match the game to what students are studying or give students study materials for the game, covering common vocabulary and phrases. Oddly enough, choice paralysis and information overload are connected. I separate them because something I notice is some students have trouble deciding what to do because too many choices, and some because they don't clearly know what they can do. So, information overload first. Consider the rules for D&D 5e. There are a lot, and the way rules are presented makes it seem even more daunting, because it is a game about player freedom, and players making their characters as they like. There is a lot to think about. And that's before we consider that 5e is a simplified D&D experience, and there are more complex versions of D&D, not to mention more complex RPGs. Some players look at all of that, or even all the information on the character sheet, and shut down. They can't decide what to do because they don't know where to start with all that information. You can deal with it 2 ways. First, players don't need all that information, so don't give it to them. If they want to study and learn in their own time, great, let them. But otherwise, start them off with basic characters or a simple introduction to play. Maybe even simplified character sheets, or even an easier game. This kind of connects to the second, be the tutorial. You are a party, so if there is something your party can do together, have more experienced players handle it, like keeping track of money and loot, or being the party face. Similarly, a GM can just ask what players want to do and tell them what they need until players learn, and encourage new players to watch their party mates. Choice paralysis. Well, this is a different story. Sometimes you try to keep it simple, but even then, you ask a new player what they want to do and, I don't know. In psychology, this paralysis is caused by too many choices and not enough information. In games, it can be caused most often because the new player doesn't know what their choices are, even when they know their character and stats and the situation. Maybe what they can do isn't so clear. As a veteran player or GM, your first move can be to give options. Phrase it based on what their character is good at. Be careful here, though. Players should still choose how to play their characters. Don't give them only 2 smart in-character choices. Throw in some oddball suggestions. Additionally, take time to explain what their most important skills are used for. Now, maybe you can see how choice paralysis and information overload can be opposites, especially when it comes to different game systems. TRPGs are games where players can do anything. Native speakers and veteran players might both say that a one-page RPG is clearly the easiest game to start with. But language learners or beginner players might find comfort in a system that defines their skills more clearly. Consider those players and adjust case by case. If they look at the character sheet and still don't get what they can do, consider Call of Cthulhu or Pathfinder, where skills and feats are clearly spelled out. If they think there's just way too much information to keep track of, consider a system where there's 1 or 2 stats for everything. Oh, by the way, that kind of connects to player interest. When players aren't interested in a game, there can be many reasons. First, does the game match? Some players prefer certain systems, but also certain genres. Second, what do they want out of the game? Call of Cthulhu is great for players who want to feel scared or unravel a mystery. Not so great for players who want to be big damn heroes. And individually, maybe Bob and Sue are happy with the treks through goblin caves and the battles with ogres, but Mary just wants to get rich trading illicit goods, and John wants to build up a kingdom. Talking with your players is the best way to make sure this interest can be fostered in new games or to change campaigns in progress to bring this interest in. I hope you can understand now how this outfit is connected. Having a happy Christmas really is about thinking about those around you. Gifts, foods, interests, considering these things help everyone have fun during the holidays. Not to mention that some people don't feel it's the holidays unless they eat a king's cake or watch an all-night music competition. Some kids know what they want for Christmas, while others want some options before they choose, or would freeze if you threw them in a store and asked them. But most importantly, anyone can join in the fun if you know how best to welcome them. Thank you for watching to the end. If you want to hear what us playing games sounds like, check out our podcast. And if you think we've made it onto the nice list, come join the holiday spirit and support us on Patreon, like our own personal Santa, King Michael, deliverer of boxes of useful goodies. Finally, if you want to blend Santa and games, follow the link in the description to an interesting, simple RPG designed by a friend of the channel.